I'll probably have about 2 or 3 next week, but nothing. I live quite a boring life, I'll be honest. So no.
Okay, Cats. Can I just say sorry for being such an asshole in the beginning of your video, but it was called for.
You were right as well, though. You were right.
That was funny as hell. That was so good, man.
Right, lovely stuff. Okay then, let's see, moving around the table, we have also got spinning the wheels and making the electron spin this week. We've got Robert Leger III, who's going to be doing the producing for us. Hello, sir. Have you got anything you wanted to add this week?
I just want to say hello, everybody, and we can keep on moving.
Lovely stuff. Okay, now, as ever, we've got the ever-popular Kiri Mack, who's going to be here to take comments and questions. So if you've got any of those at Kiri, she'll make sure that she gets those to us or the guests. Kiri, have you got anything, any comments or questions you've got to add just yet, or are we still waiting on those?
I sure do. I've got a couple of questions for Fight the Flat Earth, if you guys are ready for them. Or should I say FTFE?
Indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, if you've got a couple of questions already, he's pretty much the next person I'm turning to on the list. You might have been able to tell I'm rushing through the usual panel today because on the guest, we've got Fight. We've FTFE. I'm so completely blown away by this. I've forgotten how to speak English. I'm not getting your name right. I'm just blowing my script entirely out the window. FTFE, how are you doing, mate?
Burr.
Is it me?
We may have killed.
It's not you.
Oh no!
He turned off his
we may
mic
have lost
again.
Him to the internet.
Uh-oh.
You know what? It's my fault. It's my fault because I didn't unmute myself again.
Like always. He's always doing this. Idiot.
There's not some kind of technical difficulties.
You fucking dork!
But thank you for having me on. I'm honored to be here, and actually, I couldn't imagine being in any better company than this group of amazing people. So thank you, everyone. It's amazing.
You are absolutely welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. Basically, what we usually do at this point is I ask you a few little basic questions, and then we go around the table. I'll ask you a few more. Does that sound all right?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Right, well, for those who, by some bizarre, mysterious chance, have had a head injury or something and don't know who you are, in a nutshell, how would you explain to the audience who you are and what it is that you do?
Well, I'm FTFE, and I really don't like stupidity. So I decided to start a YouTube channel challenging the stupidest thing that I've ever found, which is people that think the Earth's a magic flying pizza created by the bearded Sky Daddy. So I've in the past 9 months when I started my channel, and I want to say one of the reasons I started my channel is because of one of the people that's on the panel today. Conspiracy Cats is one of my biggest inspirations, and I am just a tiny little insect compared to the greatness that is Conspiracy Cats.
Bollocks.
Honestly, I adored your videos for so long, and I wouldn't have ever started my channel if you weren't so good at doing what you've done. So thank you. But
Wow.
Yeah, in the past 9 months, I never thought that I'd get 15,000 subscribers, and it's still a bit mind-blowing to me that people want to watch my stuff, which is why I decided to take things up a level and move away from just Flat Earth and go with the name change. YouTube doesn't like Fight. I was pretty much getting everything that I put up demonetized, and I think it's because I have the words Fight and Flat Earth. So yeah, I've just been working on rebranding and learning new software. NASA apparently came into my house at night and implanted a hologram generator in my hand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
amazing.
Does that happen to any of you guys? I mean,
well, I have my appointment booked, but I'm not going to say when it's for, just in case they're a little bit late. I am kind of north for North America.
They told you they were doing it? I had no idea.
I live in a fucking tree.
Fight. I was told that they were doing you as the guinea pig so that all of us would have an easier installation.
Right.
Now, maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I was. That's how it was presented to me.
No, that is indeed the plan. That is indeed the plan. So actually, a few guys in my department have been working on building this hologram device, and we do quite a bit of holography. So yeah, we snuck into.
So the electric shocks that happen randomly, are you going to deal with that, or?
No, he put them in on purpose. Actually, that was personal.
Right.
Yeah, if you'll notice,
is that a side effect or an effect?
No, it's operant conditioning.
It's an independent variable, actually.
Go ahead, baby. Take it.
No, it's just operant conditioning.
Oh man,
I'm really glad to be here, and I've been watching a few of your shows, and the way that you put it all together, I'm really excited to point and laugh at some stupid with you guys.
Oh, well, that's brilliant.
I love you. You're awesome.
I love you too.
Wow.
You know, really, our show was meant for somebody like you who always comes in guns blazing, ready to go. Like, holy, this is just gonna be great. I can't wait. Sorry, go ahead, Monk. Sorry, go ahead.
This man is a fellow West Country lad, and we love the word fuck.
Oh man, the two of you on the same show, the little stars that will show up in our closed captions, it will basically be unintelligible gibberish.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a West Country boy that's lived in Scotland for over the past decade, so I'm in, even people from my hometown have no idea what I'm saying, and also people in Scotland don't understand me either. So,
I get you right, man.
Jimbojo, do you have anything else on the list?
Learn how to English, dude.
Special guest.
You know speak English.
Well, I mean, I've got my usual boring questions, how long have you been doing it? What was it sort of triggering you? And normally I go around those to give people a bit of a chance to think of questions of their own, but to be honest, I sound like everyone's pretty much raring to go. I know Kerry Matt's got a couple from the audience, and I think a couple in the crowd are going, so I'm just going to let you cats go crazy. Off you go.
Awesome. Okay. Well, there is no shortage of questions today, so I'll start with a couple from Factard for FTFE, and he would like to know, why exactly did you change your name, and have you noticed a difference since the name change?
Basically, the YouTube algorithm gods have started picking on me, and I did a bit of research, and I think it's because of having the word fight and flat earth in the title of my channel. So it's an attempt to reset myself in the YouTube algorithm, and an opportunity for me to be more than just the flat earth guy. So also Team Skeptic did it. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah,
that's another thing. Before we cut back to Kiri for the other questions, I did want to address this. I wanted to make sure it came up right off the bat, and that is, a man like Fight here. We've got FTFE here, people. We're not wasting this fucking opportunity. You have a lot more to offer the fight against pseudoscience as a whole than just flat Earth, and as such, I'm quite excited to hear that you're going to be branching into more.
Yeah, I'm excited as well, because being part of the debunking community, I've come across so many other channels that debunk other stuff, and I'm like, I want to have a go at that, because there is so much more stupid out there. People that deny that climate change is a thing, saying vaccines cause autism, chemtrails. People say volcanoes are fake, for goodness sake. There is so much stupid that I can attack, and I think that I'm excited to do it, because it'll be new arguments as well. I've been doing this for 9 months, but I'm already repeating myself constantly, because there is no new flat earth arguments.
No, and a man with your life experiences and what has led you to be in the position you are, giving us the content, thank God that you are. You have a lot to say on matters other than this, because you have a depth of knowledge that will cover a lot of topics. Now, coming forward as the Shills, we as well will be tackling a lot of different topics, and I hope this is the first of many times that we will have you on to really rip stupid in half. Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward. Oh, sorry if I cut you across. Sorry, Dick, you go ahead.
I thought we would turn to BM Furball. As somebody who has asked a question or two in their professional life, what would you like to pose to Mr. Fight himself, Fight the Flat Earth right now?
Ooh, that's a tricky question. Craig and I correspond fairly frequently offline, so most of my questions are generally asked, but I would say, where do you see this channel in 1 year?
The Shills or my channel?
Yourself.
Yes.
I would like to think that I would grow enough, and I've been working hard to make my channel not only a place that I can put videos on, but to be a venue for debates. Not just that I'm in for other people. So I would like, in a year's time, my channel to kind of be known as the place to go to watch a good debate, I guess.
I love that idea. I really like the way that when you're in the middle of a debate, you can see the look on your face, the anguish, the edge. Oh my God, if somebody would just let me off the chain right now, I would slap this little bitch down so fucking hard.
Moderating is so hard when there's a flat earther saying such stupid things and the person that's responding isn't saying the things that I want to say. I'm screaming inside. You know, I literally feel like I can feel my temples pulsing.
I know. And almost every time I've seen you in that position, I have commented something along the lines of, "Oh, for the love of God, please don't explode because we need you." And I know it's probably getting old, but every time it's the same thing. I can just see it in your face. It's just, you know, I feel so sorry for you, and yet, you know, you do suck it up and do the actual moderator's job correctly. So, you know, that BM's question really led to something good. That was great.
Yeah, I don't think I'm the best moderator personally because I want to get involved so much and it's so hard. So I'm leaving the moderating to other people like BM Furball, who did an amazing job moderating my debate against JM Truth.
Oh, yeah, that was so good. And I myself got a little taste of moderation, and I did get a little angrier than I should. But I am working on it, and I you know, I fully intend to have that shit nailed down because I really like the streaming and then coming on and being a little bit more in character. It's really an unbelievable feeling. Conspiracy Cats, what would you pose to fight the Flat Earth now? FTFE fight himself right now live on the panel for us.
Right now live on the well, I can only ask questions. I wouldn't ask him in private now. I think I've got some dodgy ones in private, mate, but for now, right, this is a bit like asking which is the stinkiest turd in the toilet, so you're gonna have to bear with me on this, right? But when you first started, you burst onto the scene and you were on Hangouts left, right, and centre. You did so many debates, right? And now you'll be familiar with all the flat Earth arguments, all of them. But when you first started, what was the one flat Earth argument that actually just made you stop and think, "Oh, shit, I don't know the answer to that"? What was the one that gave you the hardest go?
I mean, there's been quite a lot. I mean, obviously I understand physics, but sometimes understanding physics isn't enough to counter the way that they think they're presenting a question. And it was their whole perspective argument that I struggled to counter. You know, well, I'll be like, so how do you explain the sun going down? And they say perspective. And I'm like, no, that's not how perspective works. But they're so convinced that it is. It's really hard to explain why they're wrong about perspective because it's such a massive part of their argument.
And when they give so little back as well, when they're just saying the word perspective and they're not explaining why they think, you've got nothing to pick apart, have you?
Exactly. It's like they just want to use a catch-all phrase that almost gets them out of answering any other questions or elaborating any further. Like they never ask the next question of why. It's right. Well, perspective answers it. I win.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I just started reading Zetetic Astronomy because Nathan Roberts asked me to read it, and I cannot believe how frequent I come across a passage in that book that is 150 years old that is the exact same argument they're making today.
Yeah,
that sounds like Dubé's videos.
It's ridiculous. The only thing that's not in there is NASA because it didn't exist.
The thing is, if you could go back in time right now and take Samuel Robotham and bring him here, he would have the same arguments as all the modern flat earthers because
he's a twat.
Well, yeah, he started. I would not just take him from time. I would drop him at the end of the universe. But you know, it's the arguments that have started the modern flat Earth movement have never progressed. There is nothing new.
No. Yeah, absolutely nothing.
It's going backwards, isn't it, really, in many ways?
Well, I will say this about the Flat Earth community. They've learned some video editing skills. I know that we've got a lot of them still making their footage in the car, which is frankly embarrassing. But I've seen some pretty good meme videos and 1 or 2 music videos, which even though they were sort of comedy bad, they were well put together. At least these people have gone out and learned something in their discoveries, even if all it is how to make a pretty video, right?
That's the thing. You actually get some flat earthers that are relatively talented. I mean, Mr. Cheswick comes to mind. I mean, he's made about 10 songs about me and Conspiracy Cats already. But it's not that. It's the fact that his music is actually pretty good, and he's obviously a talented musician.
Really?
You know, yeah.
Enough of his music is your outro now.
No, I would argue that.
Well, good enough to
Compared to most people's musical talent, I think it's fair to say he has. I mean, I know it's very easy when you're a talented musician to look down at other people and say, oh, you're not very good. But frankly, he's 1,000 times better than your average man. He can put together a song, he understands form, and it's sort of like I have to begrudgingly respect the guy for being able to put together a ditty that most people couldn't, you know?
I mean, the original songs that he's written are actually relatively good songs for, you know, in a kind of pop world. I'm not saying he's an amazing, you know, the best musician ever, but he's obviously got talent that if he focused that somewhere else rather than doing this flat earth nonsense, he could have maybe a successful music YouTube channel doing funny covers or something.
I would have a one-on-one music off with him any day of the week.
Yeah.
You'd kick his ass, man.
I'd love to see that.
Right, well, I think we're coming to we're coming to a pretty natural close in this sort of part of the round table. And one thing I'm acutely aware of is that our friend FTFE won't be able to stick around with us forever. So I really want to get to our debunk videos. Now, FTFE, what do you say to that?
Sounds good to me. Let's do it. Let's laugh and point at the stupid.
Let's do it. Let's get on with the insanity. Dick Dawson, what have we got first, man?
Well, tonight we have ourselves a really good little gem. And I'm not sure that it needs a setup so much as just let it roll, let the audience get into this, and as we interject, you'll understand why this video is absolutely the only one we could go for. So, Robert, my friend, how about we cue it up and let it happen?
What? Oh.
Saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee. This is.
Yeah, I think I heard Dead Kennedy first.
Well, I mean, first of all, how about the enormous shadow that's in the the newer footage? You know, how about the fact that you start there?
Yeah. One is day, one is night.
I've got some pictures of the Eiffel Tower, some taken in the day, some taken at night, some of the lights on. I mean, does that mean France are lying about what the Eiffel Tower looks like?
Maybe now. I didn't think so until you said that, but now mind blown. Well, look, that was just the first one out of the way. There's a whole bunch on this video. Let's crack on and see if we can get a few under our belt.
Shame on you. It fooled me, you can't get fooled again.
And what you're seeing here is a mirage. You typically would not be able to see this from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake.
Jesus Christ.
Now I heard Fight the Flat Earth for us, and I heard Dead Kennedy, but because he's our esteemed guest, Fight the Flat Earth, what do you want to say about this? I keep getting your name wrong, by the way. I've been watching you so long, it's so ingrained into my head, I'm going to embarrass myself at least another 20 times, so I apologise in advance.
That's right. I mean, the big thing about them going, it's a mirage, and them thinking that somehow proves the flat Earth. And my question is, well, why can't you see it all the time if the Earth's flat?
Exactly. Absolutely nailed it to the door there. And what about you, Dead Kennedy? Did you have anything you wanted to throw onto the end of that?
Well, first of all, I'm a uniter, not a debater. That's my crappy voice impression. Second,
the footage we were seeing before 1997 and 2015. The other thing we didn't mention at all is way different cameras. Like, why are flat earthers not aware that video technology has been progressing really quickly, like exponentially? Over the last
You're asking flat earthers to understand something. That's the problem.
I mean, most of them struggle to tie their own shoelaces, and you want them to understand the advancement of video technology.
Or camera optics. Oh, look at that black spot. Yeah, well, Google the CMOS sensor in your camera. Come on.
How many times have you heard well, why is there not stars in that? I'm like, well, how about you just go outside with your cell phone and take a picture of the night sky and tell me where the stars have gone?
And the asinine compilation, the absolutely stupid compilation videos where they compile every time someone from NASA has said whether there is or are not stars in videos or images, as if every single one of them were standing side by side looking at the exact same imagery.
I mean, I'm almost jealous.
And BM Furball. Oh, sorry, Fight. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I'm jealous of the ability flat earthers have to cherry pick. That's a skill that I've not developed.
Oh, and BM Furball here. He could have explained this back when he was standing on the bridge of the Enterprise giving out orders. Like, we're talking a long time ago. That was an amazing episode. Cats, what do you got on this one? Come on.
Well, I'm just gobsmacked. I didn't realise that they invented the light bulb in between 1997 and 2015. That's what I got from that first part of the video.
Don't you remember it all being dark before 1997?
I'm not that old, mate. I don't know.
No, it wasn't dark. We didn't need the light bulbs. They're just a lie because you've got to remember the Earth is flat, so it never gets dark.
I didn't want to have a flat earther tell me that the moon didn't exist before 1978.
Oh my God. And Fight, have you seen that Flat Earth app where photons of light somehow decide for themselves how far they're going to travel based on where the illuminated sun is on the map? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they don't need to worry about things like the speed of light, obviously.
I've got a couple of questions popping in from Kerry Mack just at the moment. Kerry, is there something coming from the audience you want to add?
Yeah, there's quite a lot. Tommy Grunwald would like to know, I guess, all the guests with content here. He says as more and more flat-earthers are afraid to debate bigger channels, would they ever consider bringing on one of us smaller channels to get a kick at the fun? What do you think? That's from Tommy Grunwald, who was doing the moon experiment there, so the moon photography recently.
I think everyone should have a go at debating.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, oh God, how long ago was it? I was supposed to be on your channel when you got booted for the horn bombing. That was my first debate when I was like at 500 subs, and I debated, it was supposed to be Flat Out Hero, he bailed, and we did Lemon Bird, but that was like 2 days or a day after you had your strike, and we actually did it over on Red's channel.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Conspiracy Cats, I think mine and yours mission should be to get Simon Dan in a debate.
Oh my
God, yes.
See that.
I think he's doing the Clark Kent bit. I think he's holding back. And when a big enough occasion comes, I think he's going to rip his shirt open and Superman shirt and step in.
When Eric Dubay finally stands up to debate, that's when he'll come in.
Oh, I have been pestering him so much. Well, he just ignores me.
There may be a thing coming up with Simon Dan, but it's not going to be about flat Earth.
Oh yeah, I love hearing that. And if you people listening don't understand how tight AV Science is to the inner workings of this debunking community, you have no idea how powerful that statement really was. So you better rewind and listen again. Oh yeah.
Slightly aroused.
When are you to be fair, Cats?
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Well, guys, End the Conspiracy would like to say to FTFE, thank you for being his inspiration for starting his channel.
You're welcome. Anyone's inspiration makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. But yeah, I love your work and the Conspiracy. You're absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, he's good. Especially, oh my God, tell me right now who on this panel does not love a Hammer episode. My God, it's brilliant stuff. He's so amazing. It's so good.
Okay, great stuff. Well, look, I think it's probably about time we pushed on a little bit more with the video. What do you guys think?
Sounds good.
Of the Chicago skyline.
No!
I actually just facepalmed.
Oh my god.
Explain why that Earth in that image is curved. How about that?
Well, don't bother with things like facts.
Both hands.
Oh, we got a little stall there. Are we all right? Are we all right? Are we good?
I'm not sure. I think I lost you or you lost me for a moment there. Did I not come through at all?
No. Yeah, no. We're good now, though. Let's keep it rolling.
Sorry, at least once an episode, if not twice, you'll find that my internet and then it'll come back a little bit. So do excuse me if it all goes very slow. I promise I am still.
UK internet.
Yeah, afraid so. We all do seem to have this problem over here, don't we? It's bloody awful. Right, let's see. Does anyone else want to jump in quickly before we hit play on the video again?
That's not how reflections work. It's painful.
I know, it's every single basic part of the scientific model. All of the principles seem to be alien to them. Reflection, refraction, the basic operations of things like optics, gravity, force vectors.
All right, let's look at it like this with that that image. They're saying, all right, so how's this hotspot there? Oh, the sun must be really close. Well, imagine you're at the beach and the sun's in the sky, and you look at the ocean and you can see the reflection of the sun. But then you walk a mile down the beach, yet you can still see the reflection of the sun. Is the sun following you?
Well, you know, NASA might be maybe trying to hoax you by having your own personal sun. I have heard more bizarre explanations. Did you guys remember Limitless and Awake Souls, who once posited this flat Earth map which had 3 south poles, and the sun had to go left to right and then rematerialize back on the other side of the map?
Pac-Man world.
Yeah, that's right. That was absolutely bloody amazing. I've never seen anything like it. At least they put the effort in, though, right? I mean, that's quite hard work for a flat Earth.
Yeah, but Limitless and Awake Souls actually do think that they are the second coming of God and stuff. So, what can you expect?
I don't think I'd suggest to the audience that people put too much faith in their ideas. Who was that? Just
Jumbo.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, do you remember, I think you was there when Flat Earth Aussie Jesus was saying that we all have our own apparition of the sun.
Oh, yes.
They are guarding all the
dimensional portal.
Sorry about that. Minor gremlin, we're all right now.
You were there, weren't you? It was like fucking bizarre.
Yeah, remember he thinks that the moon was dug out of the Grand Canyon by giants and filled with helium put in the sky to mock us for worshipping the sun, which is an interdimensional portal to the light of God, which we have our own apparition of, and also pendulums are controlled by demons.
Yeah, but I tell you something you might not know, Craig. I tell you what, his video about thoroughly cleaning your bed and pillows.
I preferred his video about tennis with CGI.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. No, that was
fucking insane.
We was watching the Grand Open or Wonderwood. I forget which one it was. I think we were on Clay. My God, yeah, he just like genuinely thinks that it's not real. I assume it's anything he's never seen in person is basically a lie, right? It's like
that's not normal, is it?
CGI.
My God.
He's got to be fucked on drugs or just fucking that isn't normal. What's wrong with him? You can go and play fucking tennis, you dickhead.
On the order of claims, is it more weird to believe that all of tennis is fake or that the mountains are made of dead dragons? I can't decide in my head which
The
one
tennis
is more...
one is ridiculous because you can go and fucking play it. If you can go and play it, just want you to film someone who fucking plays it.
Clifford Reynolds said that he's an interdimensional portal to stupidity.
Brilliant.
Excellent stuff. Right, any more little opinions? Oh, what's Randy Flatter cut in? Hello, buddy.
No, I was just laughing away, but he jumped my...
Okay, fair enough. Right, any more final points before we hit play again? Lovely. Let's go. Trouble and Joe.
Hey, man.
Absolutely.
Which means that sooner or later, someone is going to have to fight them.
Pause. AB Science wants to unleash. AB Science, you wanted that one.
Okay, so I have just been listening to a lot of stuff about the rise of Nazis and stuff like that, and I'm getting really fucked, really annoyed with how many parallels you can draw with the alt-right and neo-Nazis and the Flat Earth movement. They're consistent reliance on this idea of being red-pilled, and then Mr. And I'm not calling him a neo-Nazi or anything, absolutely not. But the tactics they use, like Mr. Cheswick with the brigading attacks that he's been trying to do, these are all like neo-Nazi tactics, and the internet develops in the 90s, and I'm just getting really irked by the parallels you can draw with modern fascism and the Flat Earth movement. Now, I'm not saying that Flat Earthers are fascists or anything, but you can just see so many of these tactics that are being used, and there's this constant reference to red-pilled and just this grand conspiracy that's always perpetuated by mainly Jewish people, and it really irritates me that this is happening.
This is why it's dangerous. This is why.
Oh, hello, Yuri. You're going to have to back off. Anti-flag, tie that man down. A guest trying to talk. You can come back in a moment. Sorry, FTFE, mate. Carry on.
I think it was Cats. It was Cats.
Was it Cats? Oh, my mistake. I'm still getting a guest wrong. Cats. Sorry, what was that, buddy?
No, I was just agreeing. I was saying that's the harmful side of Flat Earth, that it draws you into that way of thinking, and I wasn't really going to expand very much. So, yeah, thanks. That's me.
You can see it so much in Flat Earth. Yeah, as I said, it's that brigading. It's talking about that red pilling. It's about this it's about this grand conspiracy. And I had a comment the other day about me selling out my people in exchange for some shekels. Now, it wasn't overtly racist, but I can read the subtext, right? And it's all of those little things. And yeah, shekels. I mean, come on, really? You could have picked any currency in the world, but no, you had to go for that one. And then it's also, it's the idea of the egregore that they talk about in this in that book, The Greatest Lie Ever Told. It's the egregore the whole book, it's most of it is badly plagiarized early Nazi propaganda, where even the Nazi party went, no, that shit is too crazy for us.
Indeed, nicely point there. Excellent point, well made, sir. Now, I know for a fact that we've got a Dead Kennedy in spaces just raring at the bit to make a comment. Dude, what do you want to add?
Well, just a very surface level contradiction. It's so easy to find contradictions in these things. So the whole concept of red pilling comes from The Matrix, right? Which is a Hollywood movie, which in their world generally means it's made by the people who's in on the conspiracy. So the whole idea of red pilling comes from their enemy in their world, and it makes no sense to me. It's so nonsensical, and it goes back to the whole how many people are in on it. Your conspiracy doesn't work when more people are in on it than are being fooled by it.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, because Lana Wachowski, it kind of represents everything that these people generally hate as well.
That's a huge yawning gap again. Sorry about that. No, that's fine. Sorry, that's my mistake. I had the mute on. That was my unprofessional response again. So, Harry Mack, I think we've got a couple of comments coming in, haven't we?
Oh yeah.
Sure. We've got one from Mr. Victory, who would like to know that if our guests were stuck in an elevator with a flurf, which flurf would they rather be stuck with?
I would just open the doors forcibly and jump.
I love it. Stupid monkey.
BM Furball, what's your answer to that question? Let's get the three of our panel members in on this for sure.
Yeah, for
Who
sure.
would you BM Furball if you had to be locked in an
Unfortunately, he's
elevator?
just dropped out, Dick, I'm afraid. Unless he... Oh, no, he's come back in again. He's popping in and out. He may have connection issues at the moment. So let's give him a second to sort himself out, and we'll just move along the table one slightly. How about that?
Yes.
Logical Troglodyte, we haven't heard from you at all, buddy. How are you doing today?
Oh, fine. And as far as that question is concerned, to be perfectly frank, I would not want to be stuck in an elevator with any flurf. But if I had to be, the outcome would be dramatically different depending on which one it was. It could be anywhere from you're going to have to call the paramedics because I'm laughing myself to death, or I'm looking for bail money because I beat them soundly with my club. You know, and there's a whole range between those things.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Now, Steaming Cup of Reason, how about you, buddy? Haven't heard from you in a little while. What are you thinking so far?
Not a whole hell of a lot. Just can't understand these people. If I was stuck with an elevator with one of them, I'd find the escape hatch and toss them out.
Oh wait, I said I'd jump out myself. Why don't I think about chucking them out instead? That's much better.
Yeah, that's a good idea, right? I think Steaming Cup of Reason, you know, being the title of his channel and all, hit the nail on the head. Don't sacrifice yourself in this situation, people. For the love of God, throw the flurf to the wind.
Absolutely.
Now, I think Conspiracy you wanted to add in there, didn't you, buddy?
Oh, no question, no, but I was going to say, if I was stuck in a lift with a flurfer, it's got to be Ranty Flat Earth, because I want to shake his hand for all the good work he's doing, you know, improving the globe. I'd give him my wallet, I'd give him my car keys, I'd give him my kids, you know, the work that man has done, you know, is gold.
It's so funny you should say that, because Stupid Monkey wanted me to ask you, if you met Del, would you shake his hand or punch him? So, kind of related, I guess.
Oh, I think either one of those would result in me getting my hand broken, wouldn't it? I think whether it was his hand broken.
I wouldn't punch him. He's a big dude.
Well, the thing is, it would be quite funny to see, because, you know, this is 3D image projected on a 2D screen. So what if it turns out that he's actually hench, but really short?
That's why he films it vertical all the time, to make himself look a bit taller.
Lovely stuff. All right, well then, I think it's about time that we continued on the video and see what other stupid is in store. No, I don't notice that.
Yeah, no.
Because it doesn't happen.
See how none of those lines curve?
Wait. Parallel lines don't intersect. That's literally their definition.
That's kind of the point, right? That was a pause, was it? Now, who did I hear? I definitely heard, I think it was Dead Kennedy in Space, but I thought I heard another voice first. Who was that chimed in?
I'll just hand it over to Dead Kennedy.
It was
unless ships can fly? What?
I know, crazy, right? Sorry, Dead Kennedy in Space, how about you, fella?
Yeah, I think somebody said it around the same time as me. What's going on with the bottom of that boat there? It appears to be either slightly floating, or possibly there's, you know, maybe some sort of atmospheric distortion effect. Anything aside from, oh look, I can still see it.
Yeah, right.
Wow,
Excuses thick and fast and painful. Let's see now, Andy Fladder, what do you think so far, mate?
Well, I'm just he keeps pointing out all these different like optics devices he's using in there, but aren't these the same bunch that keep telling us just trust our own senses? If that's the case, what the fuck are they using all these telescopes in it then?
Oh, that's such a good point. Oh,
I mean, all this trust your senses shit, right? I've got a major problem with that, because if I was to trust my senses, then the entire world is just an indistinguishable blur. I wear glasses for a reason.
That's a good one.
I mentioned from Zetetic Astronomy, and that's in there as well because he's talking about how the horizon always raises to eye level, and when you use a theodolite with glass, the horizon is at the mid-level or midline when it's leveled. But if you use a tube with no optics in it, then it doesn't. So clearly, your eyes are better than the glass. The glass is causing refraction.
How mysterious. Now, Jump on the Drunk Monkey, unbelievably, we haven't heard from you in a little while, mate. What do you think about it?
A word in edgeways earlier.
That's been a bit frantic, isn't it, today? We've got some popular guys on the show.
Awesome,
what have you got, mate?
Enjoying listening, it's awesome. Oh, this video is fucking shit. I watched it earlier and I just thought, it's like fucking a shit advert for a fucking hearing aid or something.
I know what you mean. It's just sort of scene after scene of stock footage with some like titles underneath it. It's so banal and mundane and empty. It's like having woken up from a dream that you can't quite remember. It's that sense of like, was there anything there? What?
At least you baited the.
Going back to.
At least you baited the goddamn rap.
I'm sorry, Dick. I think you stepped on Jumpmonk there. You're gonna have to say that one more time.
I did.
Sorry,
I might have a delay here, so I'm gonna reset that quick.
yeah.
Give me 1 sec. Yeah.
Okay, buddy. We'll see you in a moment. Excellent stuff. Right. Sorry about that, Jump, mate. On you go.
No, they go on about trust your senses. Why fucking look through the world? Look at the world for a fucking P1000 or P900. Why not use a fucking telescope, you dorks?
And the P1000 isn't even a good camera.
No, it's shit. I mean, I don't know about cameras, but I've heard enough times it's a piece of shit. But why the fuck don't you get a fucking telescope? Not one of them looks for a telescope.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? They talk about, trust your own eyes, and you can't use apparatus to actually figure out, to measure things, but then you use a camera, which is a, apparatus to see things, not directly observing something. And also the other argument is, right, trust your own eyes and only trust your own senses. All right, go ahead, eat a piece of raw chicken.
Also, there's a whole thing. I think that whole argument, for instance, about bringing a ship back over the horizon by zooming in, like that literally requires a piece of apparatus, right? How the hell are you supposed to zoom your eyes in until a ship comes back over the horizon? It makes. Go on,
The thing is, they're not bringing it back over the curve, are they? It hasn't fucking gone over the curve. You just can't see it without zooming in, you dickhead.
Yeah.
You zoom in on a ship that is literally halfway, submerged. No amount of zoom in is ever going to bring the rest of that ship above the horizon.
Yeah, it's funny how they don't just watch it go right out of view and go let's get better cameras, see if we can bring it in, or it's gone, mate. You can't fucking see it because guess what? Curvature.
Yeah, you can use a zoom lens to account for angular resolution, but not for curvature. It's just not going to happen. There is a difference.
Well, you can point the fucking Hubble telescope at it, and it's not going to bring the bottom of the fucking ship back, is it?
What's hilarious is
we're trying to look for a brick fucking wall, you dorks.
When allegedly Dave tried to redo the Bedford level experiment, he was out there with the P900 and had the little dude out on a boat. And then we zoomed in, and you can see that with the proper apparatus, it doesn't go over the horizon, disproving that belief. It's like, no shit, he wasn't far enough away for him to go over the horizon.
Yeah, but you also remember that their laser that they leveled ended up pointing above the heads of the people that were looking at the boat.
Yeah, the ice cream cone effect of the laser, doing its distance was such that you could have caught it and shown no curvature at a distance that was astronomical almost. It was a joke.
Once again, I've managed to press my mute button and not come in quickly enough. I've left about 15 seconds of dead air on today. This is my worst ever show for this. I tell you what it is. It's because I'm completely Star Trek. It's my own fault, basically. Right. Okie dokie. Well, ladies and gentlemen, unless you've got anything else you want to quickly add, I'm going to suggest we hit play and try and get to the end. What do you say?
Yeah, let's give her.
they saying the sky's water?
I hope not. I really hope not.
Well, this sounds like, I mean, we haven't heard them speak, but this seems like one of those flat earthers who probably believes in like the proper Hebrew cosmology, where it's the firmament and water over top of it. So maybe
yeah, but it's also funny. It's also funny that they used our laser on the water tank, with everything, and showing how that refraction results in like this curved beam. They're actually demonstrating the exact reason why you can see shit which is a little bit further than the horizon.
And it's not, we're not talking about an observation or something that is out of reach for the average person, right, BM? Come on. This is like, you've done Cavendish, for God's sakes, so you must have no sympathy, right? You know?
No, and these are the low-hanging fruits, like the initial argument of, well, with the right optics or whatever, you can bring every ship back over. Clearly, that is not true. The horizon always raises to eye level. With basic understanding and some simple tools, it is absolutely not true. So anybody who believes it is absolutely ignorant, willfully ignorant, or lying.
It's a willful ignorance.
All three.
Yes, Cats, keep going there. Right there, you had it.
Well, so it is literally every single argument put towards them is willful, absolutely willful ignorance. Like AB Science hit it on the head there. You know, the flat earthers, when it suits them, they'll use the argument about refraction or whatever. But when you see an application of refraction, they don't want to know. When you give them, any. I mean, I was having a ding dong with Dell in the chat.
You were having a what now?
A ding dong.
A ding dong, yeah.
You were having a ding dong with Dell. That sounds like something I never want to do. Just say it.
I'm trying to explain the most basic concepts to him, and it was like I was speaking a different language, almost like he was literally just not reading anything I was saying, because they don't want to know, they don't want to read it, they just want you to get finished with your bit so they can throw some more shit at you, and it is willful, it's absolute willful ignorance.
Well, that's why I tend to describe the flat Earth movement or anti-vax movement and many of these things as not just ignorant or anything. It's anti-intellectualism. Because they ask questions, but they are not prepared to listen to the answers. Now, someone who's an intellectual, right, regardless of your actual intelligence, your IQ and all of that, an intellectual asks a question and wants to listen to the answer. Whereas they're anti-intellectuals. They ask questions, but they're not prepared to listen to the answers. Questions as rhetoric and not as an actual probing.
They're rhetorical. They're rhetorical, exactly.
Makes sense, yeah.
Kiri Mac has some questions. We have a vocal viewership right now, and we definitely have to get them involved. Kiri, what's going on?
Well, a couple of comments first, then a question. We've got Dutch Heretic, who says that flat earthers are snow globers. I love that. That's
flat
brilliant.
earthers are snow globers. I like that, yeah.
Right, that's a good one. 1 Minute Debunk said he did a cool video on zooming ships over the horizon. It got a bunch of flirts upset and he drank their tears.
They taste so sweet. I mean, it's what sustains me.
Right, it keeps you living. It gives you eternal life, perhaps. Let's be.
It lowers your IQ every time, though.
Yeah. Do you know what? There's something I've been thinking about, and I haven't really managed to talk to you about it yet, FTFE, and that is, we had a question from Al Loop earlier, which is, how come you suck so much at Apollo mission trivia? Cats as well. You guys have got explaining to do.
I actually studied more about this, the specifics behind the physics of the mission, thinking that would be the questions. I didn't study who was in the missions, and it just became a guessing game.
You made a mistake there because, you know, rocket science is not exactly rocket science.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a confession now, right? I studied all about the history of all the astronauts, like on the mission. I had the date of births. I had all sorts of facts about them, right? And I had them on little post-it notes pinned behind my computer so I couldn't even cheat. We still lost, right?
Come on.
And they didn't ask the right questions then.
I
I
still didn't get a question.
I was pinning my hopes on you carrying me through.
I thought we were going to, you know, but even cheating. But there you go. So cheating doesn't prosper. It's a bad lesson.
You just weren't very good at it.
I was absolutely awful. Yeah, I just learned the wrong. I learned all the answers, but just not the answer to the questions they were asking.
You make me very familiar with this cheating and this plagiarism thing, right? When they give essays and hand in work, where you know, you just know they've done a really bad job at plagiarizing things, and you're kind of the most annoying part of it is not that it's plagiarism, but the fact that it's really bad plagiarism.
And this is coming from a teacher as well. I mean, woof.
Yes. Yeah, and if that doesn't hit hard and hit home, what the hell will, right? Come on. Now, should we not play a little bit more of the video? Because every time this plays, the ammunition that is falling from the pockets is unbelievable. I want to see what comes next. Let's do it.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
So is the Earth convex or?
Fight, take it, man, take it. FTFE, the floor is yours.
I heard BM call first.
I would just like to know, is there literally anyone that has ever tried to use the Felix Baumgartner footage as proof of curvature?
No.
Has anybody actually tried to use this? I mean, it's thrown back in our face constantly, but we've never used this as our evidence.
I think there may have been a comment from a presenter, back then, but they're media personalities, right? They're not physicists or anyone who actually looks into this sort of thing. And also, the funny thing is you can control for curvature if you actually properly analyze that footage. Then you could probably control for curvature due to fisheye lensing, and then you will figure out that you'll still find some curve.
Is that possible? Can you like reverse the fisheye effect?
Yeah, I can do it in the software I've been using.
Really?
Yeah, there's literally a plugin for it.
It's not even about controlling for fisheye effects. It's I did a video on this. It's one of my earlier ones where you can actually you can draw lines depending on where the horizon is. As a function of the distance from the center of the image, and then you can measure the curvature. You can just do a best fit curve of a circle on it, and then you can measure the radius of that circle. And then if there is truly no curvature in the image, then if the horizon passes through the center of the image, that measure should read infinity. Or if you're talking proper Gaussian curvature, which is 1/r, then you should read 0, but you don't.
That's pretty fascinating.
With that plugin, though, Craig, doesn't it require you to know what kind of camera it is? It'll have I think there's a different algorithm for every specific type of camera to correct for that.
It does have specifics for, say, barrel distortion or fisheye lens, but then you can go in and select specific models if you want it to be more accurate.
I like the sound of that really good. Oh yeah. Yeah, because accurate is exactly what they don't want.
But again, none of us use those videos as evidence. If that video was used as evidence of anything, it's the blackness of space.
Yeah. And someone in the chat made a good point that anyone noticed that Felix falls towards Earth rather than sideways or something?
Yeah, monochromatic light source just said, have you ever noticed that Felix, pretty much falls to the center of the Earth rather than sideways? Kind of made me laugh.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I like it. What do you think? Shall we see if we can get to the end of this cesspool of absolute nonsense?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock on.
Oh God.
Did it really say that?
Yeah.
Towards Earth rather than sideways or something.
Yeah, monochromatic light source just said, have you ever noticed that Felix, pretty much falls to the center of the Earth rather than sideways? Kind of made me laugh.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I like it. What do you think? Shall we see if we can get to the end of this cesspool of absolute nonsense?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock on.
Oh God.
Did it really say that?
Yeah.
Pause.
You're allowed to pause there for sure.
Pause.
Monkey, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
Fucking, what do you mean, where's the curve? You're not gonna see curve with that camera, you fucking idiot. What is wrong with these fucking stupid dorks, man?
I've been asking myself that very question.
Rubbish. Put shit on the screen. Crappy fucking nice tune, quite chilled out, but it's like fucking hearing aid ad, like I said.
It's like absolute profound inability to understand scale of any kind.
Yeah, and what you find with all the things on this video, in fact, I reckon you could take that video and search for, say, 10 other videos by flat earthers, and they would be almost frame for frame the same.
Could I just say, I like to call them globe deniers, because there is no flat earth.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Sorry, we have Dead Kennedy in space. He has something he has to get off his chest.
Well, Jeff mentioned that they have a profound ignorance of scale, and that's what I think is at the heart of the whole thing, is an ignorance of scale, an inability to think in 3 dimensions, and extreme paranoia. That's all it is.
And every one of them has that third option. Every one of them.
Definitely. Well, yes. Right? Because that's another thing I find interesting that I kind of want to bring up the next time I debate one of these people is if I can just get them to acknowledge that their conspiracy necessarily entails millions of people in on it, billions of people have been in on it, and millions of world events are all completely fake. For fucking millennia. Yeah, for 2,000 years, all of history has been manufactured if the Earth is flat. Screw the science, just culturally, that's a fact.
A couple of weeks ago, I interviewed Nathan Roberts and Ranty Flat Earth on the same day, and this is the day that what's his face, the pedophile dude, committed suicide. And I didn't know that had happened, and both of them brought it up as a conspiracy. Come on, man, you can't tell me you believe this. And they both brought that up as a conspiracy. That happened to me too. In the world of conspiracy. That happened to me too. I got a comment from someone saying, you definitely believe Jeffrey Epstein's death was a suicide. And I said, no, it seems fishy to me. Earth's still around. Next.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Jeffrey Epstein's death is fishy. You know, a few facts around it, which, you know, they do smell a bit funny, and it could be a genuine conspiracy in there. It could be one of the selects, you know, one of the people that could be implicated by his testimony had him bumped off. Yeah, okay, that's understandable, right? It's believable. It's believable, absolutely. But that's very different than the flat fucking Earth, because everyone who's involved in any of this would know about it. And you know, as I said in a video, right, the one that got bombarded with Mr. Cheswick's people, you know, it is impossible. Every scientist, and, you know, already at the moment there are 8 million scientists at least. And I'm only talking about the scientists that have been awarded a PhD. You know, those people would all have to be involved. And I can tell you, no one has read me in on any conspiracy, or at least that's what they want you to think.
That's exactly what you'd say.
That's exactly what I would say. But, you know, I have the tools available in my lab to determine that a lot of the laws of physics that are required to be different for a flat Earth, if they would be different, I would know about it, because some of the, you know, I deal mainly with Maxwell's equations. They have to be entirely different for there to be a night on a flat Earth.
I'm a literal agent of the government, so I can't comment on this topic.
Classified.
Yeah, I mean, I am paid regularly by the government, so I guess I should be quiet. And also, I've got a NASA implant in my hand.
Right.
That I didn't ask for.
Hey, FTFE, is there like a kill switch if you try and take it out, or like?
There's not even a scar. I don't know how they did it.
Damn. So do you even know where it is?
Well, I assume it's in my hand, but I do get some pains in my head every now and then.
Interesting. I mean, I'm not saying aliens, but aliens probably.
Yeah, right. Jerry, do you have anything from the viewers that you want to bring up while we got you on right now?
Sure. Got a couple of comments, or a couple of questions actually. I might go for this question here. What, including the videos that we're watching right now, what is the worst proof of flat Earth that you've ever seen? I mean, it's a difficult question. That's from
no,
Design.
I got it.
You got that? Okay.
Yeah. So I was debating a guy called Why You Are an Idiot.
Oh yeah.
And he told me the reason that we have a pressure gradient is because there isn't a magic tree stretching all the way to the dome. Because in the past, there was. And it makes sense because animals were bigger in the past, so there was more air pressure. But now the giant trees cut down, that's
is this why you are an idiot?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember him. I debated him on your channel. And we argued about this for a while, and Jesus. There's no
actually hurt my brain.
There's no logic to it at all. It was like I could feel both myself and you falling apart listening to him.
I know. It's one of the worst arguments ever. There's a pressure gradient because there isn't a magic tree.
Bizarre.
That doesn't even actually exist in Christian mythology.
Oh no, he's got Christian, Norse, fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe, everything in there.
Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Guys, Colon is asking FTFE if it was an anal probe from NASA, which I find funny because, you know.
Possibly. Like I said, I don't remember it. I just woke up and...
how did they get it into your hand in that case? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. Apparently they're in my house most nights.
Well, NASA does have desires to go to Uranus.
Mine specifically.
Oh, that reminds me of the only good part of the Eric Dubay video, the single joke that wasn't about flat Earth. What was it? Your Earth can fit inside Uranus 73 times, 74 if you just relax.
I love it. Why don't we switch over and let the last of this madness that we called a video play?
I just want to say, Australia, fucking Australia on that map.
Yeah.
I love the fact. I want to turn this one to BM, but I love the fact that they use the AE map, the projection map, as their actual map. Do they not understand that that is the globe projected?
No, of course they don't understand. Have you not met flat earthers?
It's unbelievable. Oh man, it's so funny.
The funniest thing about that, the whole with the sun spinning in the middle is that for the difference between, say, winter and summer, the sun would literally have to be traveling faster because it's further away from the center of their magic space pizza.
Oh, there are many more problems with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's many. That's just one that comes to mind.
So if that were really the case, it would be so hot around the Arctic Circle that it would not be possible for ice to be sustainable. Secondly, Australia would be quite chilly, whereas in the northern hemisphere, especially around the England and the Canada regions, it would be pretty fucking hot all year round. It just doesn't work.
Isn't it funny how nothing fucking works?
Yeah, exactly. Like, one thing I know flat earthers give me a good answer for is, okay, so if the sun is small and local, why is it so cold at the top of fucking mountains?
Yeah. I always ask the question, if you think we have to keep dipping the plane to fucking not go into space, how about if you're flying east, you have to keep banking left so you don't crash into the fucking ice wall?
Right? And I love the density buoyancy argument, and I'll let BM Furball take this after I go. If there's no gravity involved, when I let go of my pen, why doesn't it go up where there's less density? And if I have a gentle breeze blowing on one side of me because I'm standing, at the corner of a building, why doesn't my pen go sideways?
Magic.
Yeah, with the AE map, there's virtually, if you take the sun and moon out of it, there's virtually nothing about the southern hemisphere, anything past the equator, that works. Nothing. Distances, land mass, time traveled, what you observe on the ground, the ice wall that people claim to have pictures of because there's like one spot that has a nice high wall, but apparently that's the entirety of around it. There is nothing, literally nothing on the AE map south of the equator that fits with anything in reality.
Well, actually, the reality is that it's nothing north of the equator either. It's just the errors that come in are just a bit smaller.
Yeah.
And with the dome and the pressure gradient, the one thing that I really want to ask a flat earther this, let's play that we're in your world where there is a dome and there is a pressure gradient because you have to have a container to have pressure. Okay, we know that there's a pressure gradient, so that means at the top of the dome, let's say that it's 50% of the pressure that it is at sea level. What would happen if I just doubled the size of the dome? And then what if I just doubled that? Eventually, wouldn't it get to a vacuum inside your dome?
Yeah. Good question. Well,
that's a good one.
That kind of brings up my question that I never have answered from them, which is, I say, you accept that a pressure gradient exists, right? The air gets thinner as you get higher, and they'll usually say yes. And they'll say, okay, at what point does that stop and why? And they can never answer that.
Well, Demonic Davros would like to know that if the Earth, what would the flat earthers respond? Where exactly is the flat Earth supposed to be in the universe? Are we the only thing out here?
We are the universe. One of their main arguments is the fact that it was created for us. There is nothing outside because what we have was created for us because it's apparently perfect for us.
Right.
So,
wow.
NEMA says because God.
Yes, because God.
Because God, yeah.
I mean, they outright say that space isn't a thing. So that would kind of imply that what is within this magic space pizza / snow globe that defies all laws of physics would be the entire universe.
But if this place was built perfectly for us by a creator, why is like 80% of it instant death for us?
Yeah, why if I eat a peanut, do I almost die? Why if I get stung by a wasp, do I almost die? So yeah, it's not made perfectly for us. And Australia, you said 80%, 99% of the things in Australia are trying to kill you.
I'm talking about like
yeah. I'll have to reference Planner Walk's live show last night where, well, that was a shit show, but there was a certain that all the bad things are made by humans, essentially. So everything that's trying to kill you is made by humans, or it was put in place by God to.
I don't remember
earlier.
I don't remember a scorpion factory anywhere.
Oh no, they were put there so God can make you go to heaven sooner or something.
Right. That sounds wonderful. Yeah. Cheers, God.
Yeah.
Also, thanks for the children having bone cancer and stuff. Wonderful.
Yeah, precisely.
Cheers, God.
Poisonous animals and long and painful death.
Yeah.
Cheers.
As I get older, my body stops working and then my brain starts falling apart. Wonderful. Cheers, God.
Oh, I love it.
Patty Bogle has just said Flurf equals fuckwit life forms evading reality frequently. I love it.
Oh, yes, we have a new acronym. That was amazing.
Patty is funny. Love you.
Oh yeah, conspiracy cats. So when we're at the point we are now, and we're almost doing a wrap up about the whole scene in general. Somebody who's literally celebrating their year on YouTube with an unbelievable year it has been.
Wow,
holy
year for the cats.
How are you feeling about this stuff, these guys? What comes to your tongue live off the bat? Because that's what we're here for, right?
That's a good question. It could get deep, and I don't say that often, but it could. Sorry. Right. I think you got people out there who obviously we all know are just in this to out of narcissism and to make money. And Nathan Oakley's that I know Nathan Oakley doesn't believe that the Earth is flat. I know that.
Oh no.
But they spout so much shit, and some people fall for it, and you can tell they fall for it because they parrot what everyone else is saying. But those people there are being tricked into believing that everybody must be lying to them. Everybody must be lying to them, and then suddenly they become paranoid. And some of them could become seriously mentally ill. So sometimes when I'm making a video, I think, well, God, some people here, are really mentally ill, and I'm only going to make them worse. And I think, well, am I going to, if we, it's confusing. Like, do you target the people that you know are liars to try and stop them doing that to other people? I don't think it's.
I've walked away from channels.
If you walked away from channels that you tried to debunk.
No, I mean, I've looked at them and thought, no, I'm not going to touch them for that reason. I thought they're not right in the head. There's something going on. They look like they need fucking help for sure. Yeah, man, you don't touch that.
Well, that's the whole reason why I don't really do the classic debunks, right? It's because a lot of these people, I'm really concerned that they're actually mentally ill and stuff like that. And I don't want to be bullying these people or anything, or at least it's not bullying. It's just, come across as if I'm bullying them. And I'm not.
Exactly, steer clear.
But AB, you know what they'll say? Saying that they're mentally ill is bullying to them. They'll bring that up like a chip on their shoulder for forever. Like that Candleman Smith, that horrible guy, that guy is just upset that I think flat earthers are mentally ill. That's the only gripe he actually has with me.
Yeah, it's not just the mental illness, it is the I think the stubbornness, and then once they're in it, they don't have an ability to let go of the lie themselves. They're too invested in it.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think it's absolutely fine to fucking point and laugh and call them an idiot, because you know what? Every person here has tried to explain to a flat earther why they are wrong.
Yes.
And we have gone through it over and over and over, and they will go, but reasons it's not flat, and I'm just going to go and make a video and say the same things I've been saying for the past 3 years.
Yeah,
and it won't answer your questions either. You give them a question, it's like, I ain't doing that.
No. But there is a key difference, right, between the different, between all the different flat earthers and stuff like that. You do have some who are just very clearly like the anti-intellectual I described earlier, or the trolls or stuff like that. But then you have people like, I'm not gonna name names. But there are some people who clearly appear to be mentally ill, and you just stay away from them, really.
And speaking of mentally ill, Logical Troglodyte wants to jump in, and this is really his domain. Logical, what do you got, buddy?
Actually, I've been thinking, I know I'm really late coming out with my psychology part 3 of my series, but this video is a prime example of what people will encounter in that video. So I'd like to kind of give a little preview of it. This video kind of really is a prime example of how conspiracy thinking can be an addiction. Addictions are more than just chemicals. It's about behaviors and thought processes. So an active addict or a newly drying out addict will make really disjointed statements with little or no context as a way to protect the participation in their addiction. And that's all this video was disjointed statements with little or no context, no explanation at all. Active addicts, newly recovering addicts will try to blame everything but themselves, and we see the same thing in this video. If it wasn't for them, we would know the truth. If it wasn't for the media suppressing, we would know the truth. If it wasn't for the Illuminati, it's everybody's fault but their own understanding and their own lack of education and their own, it's not their own failure. Addicts will say, if you had my life, if you had my spouse, if you had my job, well, you would use or drink too. Well, conspiracy theories, they say the same damn thing, with if this then that crap, so what you're witnessing is literally conspiratorial thinking becoming an addiction, and regardless of how negative it can be in your life, they will still continue. How many times have we heard Fleurs complain that their children don't want to talk to them, or their grandkids think they're idiots, or their employers let them go, and they don't get it, because that addiction is all consuming, and that was what gives them their purpose and their feel good about themselves and their life. And without that, then the question becomes, then who am I? And that's a scary place to be if you are not a self-aware individual.
Well, I totally agree. Kevin Kennedy has something from the chat and from himself. Let's go to him here.
Well, yeah, Stupid Monkey asked, are we addicted to debunking? And I might be.
I would say no.
I do enjoy it.
I would say no. Yes, I enjoy it. It's fun. But like I try to tell my clients when I was, in my job, having mental health issues or having an addiction issue is no excuse.
Oh, come on.
For stupid behavior. Really? If you're going to act stupid and you're going to say stupid things, be prepared for people to call you out on it.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's it's a thing. You and I we discussed this in very early stages of when we first started interacting via email. I think we kind of discussed this and actually drew a lot of the parallels that an addict would have between first discovering the drugs, or the conspiracy nut would have discovering the flat earth, and drew parallels through that whole cycle of discovering it, getting involved with it, and then hitting rock bottom, and then coming out of it on the other end. And the pathways are so similar.
Oh, absolutely. The problem is with the conspiracy thinking, the negative life consequences as compared to an alcoholic or an addict isn't quite as dramatic and as fast. It's a longer, slower deterioration. But they do eventually get there.
Dead Kennedy, hold on. Dead Kennedy's on this topic too, and I don't want to lose lose him because we already lost track. Kevin, come back in here.
Well, just going back to the whole are we addicted to debunking? Generally, I think, yes, I am. I enjoy it as a challenge in the same way that I enjoy a really difficult video game like XCOM or Kerbal. It's fun and it's not easy to do. And I don't know, I like anything that's a challenge. So I think I am addicted to debunking. I just think it's pretty harmless.
I know. I'm addicted to improving my ability to counter the arguments.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that feeling of knowing that I've gained some more knowledge that I can use to shut up their fucking nonsense.
Fight, FTFE. Would you say that is one of the challenges that drew you to the debate community right away, so that you could really lay it on the line and say, yeah, you want to fucking step to me, baby? Bring it on.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm good at physics. I've studied my whole life, and I've always enjoyed trying to increase my knowledge, and seeing these people just proud of being stupid makes me want to say, look, this is why you're fucking wrong. It's so easy to explain it to you. Why can't you just see? I want to grab them and shake them and scream in their face, stop being a fucking idiot.
I love it. Amazing. Now, we're going to start doing our wrap up here because we only have so much time left and fights going live after, and God forbid that we get in the way of such an extravagant shit show, because this is going to be a good one. BM Furball, to wrap up what we've been talking about and seeing tonight and whatnot, where are you sitting? Oh, did we lose him?
I did the mute thing.
Okay, no problem. Gotcha. It's all yours, man. Take it away.
Like I've mentioned a couple times before, I think it all boils down to a conspiratorial thinking, and that's something that I would like to do more personal research on to understand, is that conspiratorial thinking an actual mental defect, or is it just something people are susceptible to and you've got to try and help talk them out of it? Because at the bottom line, all of this, every one of them is a conspiracy theorist that thinks that somebody is out to get them. As to the topic we were just talking about with whether this is an addiction or not, I agree with Craig on that. For me personally, I feel that the addiction for me on this is self-betterment. That I'm doing research on these videos and topics that I have a little bit of knowledge on, but I want to get more. And I am addicted to trying to learn more about the things that I'm interested in. And that just at this point happens to be topics that debunk the flat Earth.
I love it. Now, Cats, before I send off to a couple of questions and comments from the audience, and then, Fight is getting the last word, of course. Cats, you've been in this game for a while. How do you sum up, what do you say to a conspiratard, pseudoscience preacher and whatnot? Like, what do you say? Go to the library, read a book, where are you coming from here? Give us something.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember saying this on Jose's Hangout. I can't remember who the flat earth was at the time, but I don't mind somebody saying I think this is true. Well, no matter what, even if it's them saying I think the earth is flat, if they're making that comment from an educated perspective, if they're going to say the second law of thermodynamics says we shouldn't have an atmosphere next to space, fine. But fuck off and learn the second law of thermodynamics and then come back and tell me, don't use it as a soundbite, So if somebody wants to say the earth is flat, absolutely fine. I have no problem if they've actually gone and learned all the science they're saying to support it. And of course, we all know once they do that, they realise they're pissing in the wind and there's nothing there, So they can believe what they want if they've had an educated perspective on it, is my point, I think.
I love it. Now, Kiri, before we let Fight sign off, what is the chat got for our absolute most amazing guest, FTFE?
Well, thank you.
Tatty Bobo would like to know if he enjoyed the Rider of Dinosaurs video of him and Team Skeptic doing the sex dance.
Yeah, now if you go to any GIF like app, any GIF app at all, and type in sex dance, there's me and team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That happened. You know, that's probably the most productive thing I've ever done with my life, is making those gifts.
I love them.
They're so funny, and then Rider of Dinosaurs put them together and made a video, and it was hilarious. If you guys haven't seen it, you need to go and check it out.
Yeah.
Colon wants to know, quick question for BM Furball, have his balls stopped swinging? Who knows what that's all about?
Well, my balls.
Oh right, of course.
Yeah, last night there was an incident with my balls. My balls are very sensitive, so it's gonna take a day or two before I can touch my balls again. But they're settling down. Hopefully they'll be back up and operational in a couple days.
Hey, Fight.
No, that's somebody who knows how to be on the Silly Shill show. I love it. Monkey, everybody say their piece to Fight so we can let him get to his live stream. Monkey, go for it.
Right, Fight. I mean, I don't know why you called yourself Fight the Flat Earth, because there fucking isn't one. Seriously, bro, I subbed you when you was on just double figures under another channel, and we've chatted, and I think you might recognise me, but I was a huge fan of yours from the start, man. And
thank you, man.
I mean this, right there, when I saw the first couple of videos, I thought this guy's going to do really well, but fuck me, haven't you done well, man?
Thank you.
West Country and all, so fucking have it.
West Country massive.
That's all I gotta say, bruv. Good luck.
Thanks, man. Means a lot.
All right. Now, Fight, I know that you've got some shit to deal with, so you're probably just screaming in the background for me to let you go. Why don't you say your piece and take your bow?
I just want to say thank you for having me on, guys. This has been an absolute blast. Honored to be in such amazing company. And in regards to why I do this, it's just because... Why be so fucking stupid when it's so easy to find the answers to things? You know, I don't understand. I should be charging you idiots for fucking teaching you such basic stuff. But I'm not going to stop doing it because I just enjoy calling an idiot. And yeah. Thank you very much for having me on tonight, guys. It was awesome.
Well, Fight, I know I speak for everyone when we say we unbelievably, absolutely, positively love when you call these fucking morons out. And please,
yes, man.
For the love of all that is human, never quit, never change, man.
I won't.
You fucking rock at it, bruv.
Thank you, guys. You're all awesome as well. And you know, never forget that Conspiracy Cats is the granddaddy of this shit.
No way, mate. Well, you know, when Conspiracy Cats got a hold of us and said, "Hey, can I be on the show with Fight and whatnot?" You know, how could we say no? You know?
Let me tell you something about Conspiracy Cats, right? I watched one of his videos today. He fucking isn't. He's lying. He's not a cat.
Busted.
Well, that's no reason we know the Earth's not flat, because if it was flat, cats would have knocked everything off it by now.
That's what I tweeted that once after you did, Craig. It was so amazing. You put that tweet out, and I put the same thing, just in a different way. And, you know, instead of retweeting, I tried to reiterate, and it was a failed comparison, but I really did try. So Craig, go do your thing, man. Get out of here. We love you for showing up, man.
I will most definitely want to be on the show again, because that was a great laugh.
Oh, thanks so much.
Can't wait.
All right, speak to you later, guys. Take it easy. Bye.
Cheers, Fight.
All right, now the rest of the panel. Come on, wasn't that amazing? We had Fight on, and we were just having a blast. You know, everybody got their time. We said our piece. Fight absolutely owned the moment. Because let's face it, if somebody's gonna step to fucking flat Earth and other conspiracy bullshit with a live off the cuff, fuck you, it is Fight. And he did it. It was amazing. Now, I'm sure there was a few people in the comments and whatnot that didn't get theirs out because we only have so much time. I'm really sorry. We try to do our best going forward. Curie is going to be enlisting an absolute army, and we will, you know, But, hey, man, she does more than you could ever know, and don't you ever forget it. So, people on the panel, how are you feeling? What was that? That was amazing. Everybody's got 30 seconds to shout it out, and then, if you take more than that, fuck you. Logical Troglodyte, go for it.
Hey, I'm just glad that BM Furball was over at AT2 Productions before he came here. That way Jared can't complain about me poaching him again. So that's great. Cat, always great to see you in fight. I hope you come back, man. All three of you are like, I'm trying not to fanboy, but you know how it is. Just want to say, thanks to everybody. Thanks for everybody watching. We'll be catching you soon.
Excellent. Well done. Let's go over to Anti-Flatter. How are you feeling about this evening?
Oh, mate, tonight has been a fucking awesome show. Probably one of the best that we've done. I mean, 3 really awesome guests on, which has just been fucking brilliant.
I could not have said it better, and yet if I had, the closed captions would have understood me. But that's what it costs you to live in the future, Anti-Flatter.
Yeah, you and your bloody closed captions you put on here.
I love it. I love it. Steaming Cup of Reason, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I gotta say, tonight's been an excellent show. I've just been starstruck, really. I've been a patron of Fight for quite some time. A lot of respect for him. And also, Conspiracy Cats, being a fellow teacher, man. I can't tell you how honored I am to be on a panel with him. And just the show in general, the dynamic was just awesome. I just loved it.
Yeah, to me, as a participant and a somewhat drunk participant, I will be honest, that was fantastic stuff. AB Science, how are you, buddy? What's going on in your world?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Had a great blast on tonight's show, and definitely looking forward to seeing more of FTFE and Craig. I'm also a little bit drunk. More of FTFE.
You better be.
Cats and BM Furball are on the show in future.
Awesome. And oi fucking oi to the goddamn best monkey you've ever heard in your life. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, man. I tell you what, I'm a massive, right from the start when I first see him, and I am the talent spotter. When I first see Craig, I was like, this guy's gonna do well, and I meant that, and he fucking did, man. And we had confused cats on. He says he's a fucking cat, but come on, man, he's taking the piss. And then there's a Furball. What is that? What, the cat fucking spewed up? Stop the furry balls.
I love it. That's amazing. And speaking of Furball, now you have been an actual alumni of the Silly Shill Show and been a panel member. How does it feel to be on the panel but not be the focus of the center of attention?
It's great. I want to come back on as often as I can. You guys do a lot more shows than I can be part of because generally your shows are while I'm at work. But any of your weekend shows where you've got an extra spot and you just want somebody to sit back and bullshit with you, I'll be here for you.
And I know I speak for everybody when I say, Jesus Christ, that will be happening.
If I can,
Conspiracy Cats. Oh, sorry, Furball, give her.
If I can, just for 1 second, when I started my channel about eight months ago, my very first video, and I had no followers and I didn't know how to get my name out there, I may have spammed Conspiracy Cats' channel with, hey, here's something I just started. And Conspiracy Cats is literally the first person to subscribe and comment on my video.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. I love these
How cool is that?
I love these stories. We have such a wicked community of people. It's unbelievable. And speaking of Conspiracy Cats, you as well have been an unbelievable panel member and a sit-in tonight, not the focus of attention. How did that work out for you?
Oh, do you know what? Well, when I said when I was on here last time, this group, this team, this show, the way you produce it, to be a part of it in any way, it's just so much fun. It's just literally, like sitting in a pub with my mates having a beer. It's amazing. So, you know, thank you for having me on. I do want to say, BM Furball, just like, I think this guy should be getting huge amounts of credit for the amount of time, like from the whole community. I know you guys all pat my back, but from the whole community, for the amount of time he's putting in to actually recreate the Cavendish experiment and the amount of effort that takes to do that. You know, because you get flat earthers pecking on about Cavendish, and he's actually doing it properly. And I just want to give him a big round of applause from my side to say, fucking good on you, mate. That takes
brilliant.
Yes.
Fucking well said.
And
definitely.
I want to get everybody in the chat watching this episode right now to give a big round of applause to BM Furball for actually taking Cavendish, doing it properly, and throwing it in their fucking faces.
And do you know what I like? The fact that he put anybody that donated anything towards it, he put their name in a little strip of paper within it, you know?
Yeah, that's fucking cool. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Now, I think that we have probably been on air long enough. So let's give Craig Fight FEFT or FTFE. God damn it, I fucked that up. The last word, and we will sign off. Craig, what have you got to say to the world of pseudoscience, and what are you bringing to him? Oh, he's gone already. Well, let me speak for him. Let me speak for him.
It's okay, Dick. Have another beer. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that the hammer's coming down, and every one of you better fucking look out, because when Fight Craig FTFE brings it to your doorstep, you know heads are gonna roll. Now, tonight we saw a slideshow of the utmost stupid that we on the panel all wish to actually apologize for. You see, you, our viewers, should not have had to go through that. And we would like to say sorry in the most big, deep, absolute, positive way that we can. Second, flat Earth is a shit stain on humanity. Wipe it off and move on with your life. There is nothing to see here. I'm Dick Dawson.
Dick.
We are the Shills. That
Carrie.
was the Silly Shill Show, and what can I say? Keep
We
up
got Carrie.
the fight. Goodbye.
Well, not exactly, Dick. We got something from Kiri that must be said.
Oh, shit.
Pay
Okay.
attention to Discord.
Yeah, I can't right now. It's not going to
No big
happen.
deal. I'll keep it brief. Just thanks to everybody for their comments and questions. As always, I try to read out as many as possible, but with such a jam-packed show, I'm sure you understand how it is. Fight the Flat Earth is live in about 15 minutes. There's a link in the chat. You should all go check him out. I also want to let you know about an interview that BM Furball's got coming up with Ranky Flat Earth himself. Here's his YouTube channel. Go subscribe if you haven't already and check that out for sure. Casual Spaceman was supposed to have a race tonight, which has been cancelled, but we'll try to keep you up to date with when that's coming back. And I think we really need one more thing from Conspiracy Cats. There are so many people asking you to say space comma.
Space comma.
And I'm done. Thanks, guys.
And now we can say goodbye.
there. So if you played Zelda 1 for the NES, heck, even if you haven't played it, you'll probably recognize this guy, the Old Man. And apart from offering Link the sword at the start of your adventure, this guy blesses the player with a variety of useful, or seemingly useful, advice. Things like Dig Dogger hates certain kind of sound. Great, now I know that when I'm fighting the Dig Dogger boss, I should use my whistle. Or another one, aim at the eyes of Gohma. Perfect, when I'm fighting the Gohma boss, I'll be sure to hit it in the eyes with my bow and arrow. But some of the old man's advice is less handy. There's a secret in the tip of the nose. Where is the nose? I don't know. Does he even know? Or most famously of all, Eastmost Peninsula is the secret. What on earth does that mean? Where is the Eastmost Peninsula? Peninsula, double N. That's not even how you spell peninsula. And so, across most of the globe, millions of kids were left wondering where this so-called peninsula even was. And I'm not going to pretend to have all the answers. I don't have any insider information or anything, but I think if we take a look at some of the most common theories, we can decide for ourselves not only where this peninsula is, but what all of the old man's messages mean. Let's take a shot. Hi there, welcome to Thomas Game Dogs. So today we're investigating the old man's cryptic messages from Zelda 1 for the NES. But before we get started looking at these cryptic messages, I think it will be helpful to look at a completely different set of cryptic messages. The Japanese ones. Maybe they're only cryptic because I don't speak Japanese. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu is about as far as I go. But thankfully, translator Clyde Mandolin has compiled a list of all the old man quotes and their original Japanese counterparts. Thanks, Clyde. So let's start with some of the easier to pin down quotes, working our way up to the more mysterious ones, eventually finishing with our old friend, Eastmost Peninsula is the secret. Ooh, exciting. But first, let us begin from the beginning. And our very first encounter with the old man is the absolutely iconic, "It's dangerous to go alone, take this." This phrase has been printed on t-shirts and mugs alike, both of which with the wrong font, but we'll let that slide. Heck, this person had it tattooed onto their back. But yes, this phrase. There's not much to uncover here, it's pretty self-explanatory. But if we compare it to the original one, we can see some slight differences. As translator Clyde Mandolin pointed out, the Japanese text begins from the top right of the old man's head. This was probably to give the rough idea of a speech bubble or something like that. However, when it came to the English version, a lot more room was needed to convey the same amount of information. And so the text was stretched out across the whole room's width. To be honest though, I kinda think it looks better like that. Anyway, moving on, there are some other encounters we have with the old man before we enter a single dungeon, like this one, "Take anyone you want." I think that's also pretty self-explanatory. Just in case though, here's the original Japanese, which essentially says, "I'll give you anyone you want." Not much in it then. Oh, but let's pause for a second, because a little bit of nuance is being lost here. In Japanese, there's a whole lot more room for expression and dialect in a simple sentence like this. So while in English, "take anyone you want" doesn't really convey anything more than the sentence itself, the original Japanese carries a sort of old man vibe to it. The word choices, the vocabulary, it all helps to sell the image of an old man. Of course, this can be done with English. Take Hagrid from Harry Potter, for example. "You're a wizard, Harry." In the book itself, the famous line, "You're a wizard," is literally written, "You're a wizard," Y-E-R.
You're a wizard,
And in
Harry.
fact, this very Zelda game does a similar thing with a couple of other characters. Take this shopkeeper. "Buy something, will ya?" Just from this sentence alone, we get a sense for who this character is. And that's cool. But as for the old man, there's not really a way to convey oldness in English. You could maybe use more formal language, but then I think you just end up sounding like a butler. Oh well. Right, I'm getting impatient, so let's skim through these last obvious ones. We've got "take any road you want," which might have sounded more like "take any path you want," but there's not really much in it. Oh, and that's what the old man says when you're choosing which shortcut to take across the world map. Talking of secrets, Zelda famously is littered with secret caves and entrances, but there's a few you might regret entering. Pay me for the door repair charge, demands the old man with an aggressive swagger. Maybe I invented that last bit. In the original Japanese, he essentially says the exact same thing, maybe a little more like you owe me for the door repairs, but tomato tomato. Oh, but this is a good place to pause again, because there's actually more than one English translation of this game. The original NES game, plus the version hidden inside Animal Crossing, plus weirdly enough the 3DS Virtual Console, all of these use the original, pretty rough translation. But when the game was re-released for the GameCube, Nintendo decided to clean up a few of the more glaring translation errors. A lot of stuff didn't change, but there were a few lines here and there that Nintendo decided to update. This updated version wasn't just used for the GameCube release though. It can also be found on the Game Boy Advance, the Wii Virtual Console, and the Wii U Virtual Console. And there's an easy way to check which version you're playing. Look at the title screen carefully. Right at the bottom, there's this copyright notice, which reads Copyright Nintendo 1986. That's the original translation. But if you're playing one of the updated ones, the date will be updated at the bottom. In this case, the Wii U version says 2003 on it. Actually, the Switch is a bit of an outlier here because it doesn't have any updated copyright message, and it has its own translation again. It's basically the same as the revised one, but they change a few more things here and there. Like, for example, they finally removed the extra N from Peninsula. Congrats, guys! Anyway, returning to our pay me for the door repair charge guy, the updated version of it removed the word charge. Pay me for the door repair. I suppose that does sound a little more natural, although I'm not convinced there's a whole lot in it. Alright, I'm sick of the overworld now, so let's enter a dungeon. It's time to go exploring, folks. Now, I was originally going to cover every single old man message from the game, but we're already 1,000 words into the script, so I'm going to stick to the more interesting, weird messages, okay? First off, there's a variety of bad grammar going on here. The infamous Eastmost Peninsula is the secret, which we'll get to later, plus Dungeon 5's Dig Dogger hates certain kind of sound. Oh, and Dungeon 6 contains Aim at the Eyes of Gomer, which sounds okay until you realise Gomer only has one eye. Now, I'm not trying to pick on anyone who's learning English, this language is hard, but this is an official first-party Nintendo game. And this is the kind of thing that any native English speaker would spot straight away. So I figured maybe the translator is Japanese. How can we find out? Well, let's play End Credits Bingo. And to add an extra level of challenge, all the devs are using pseudonyms. 3, 2, 1, go. Yamauchi, Miyamoto, Takashi Tezuka, Toshihiko Nakago, Yasunari Sawajima, someone called Marui, who I don't know who they are, and our old pal Koji Kondo. Now, you might notice something. There's no translator listed. I did try looking a little more into it to find out who this mysterious translator is, but I ultimately came up blank. If you know who it is, or heaven forbid you could get me in contact with them, I would be forever grateful. Right though, I'm starting to get a little bored with this, so let's add some dramatic tension with a YouTube staple, a countdown. Number 5 is from, funnily enough, Dungeon number 5. Secret power is said to be in the arrow. Now, what does that mean? Is that just telling us to use the bow and arrow? I mean, we've already been doing that for ages by Dungeon 5. Well, this is actually a super interesting example of regional console differences at work. I'm probably going to make a more in-depth video about this in the future, but I'll touch on it now. Let me introduce you to an unsuspecting little enemy called the Pole's Voice. Now, in the Japanese version of Zelda, this enemy was really unique. You see, the Famicom, the Japanese version of the NES, had a weird little feature inside one of its controllers. Unlike the NES, where you plug in the controllers yourself, the Japanese Famicom actually came with them pre-attached. Look, they slot in neatly, like that. Very satisfying. And in Player 2's controller, only Player 2's controller, there's this tiny little microphone, see? And so, Zelda's developers decided to make use of this within the Pole's Voice enemy. That's right, in the Japanese version of Zelda, their weakness is sound from the Player 2 microphone. Oh no, but how would anyone manage to figure out that obscure weakness? Well, that's where the Japanese old man has our back, letting us know there are some creatures weak against sound, or something to the effect of that in Japanese. Now, the NES controllers, both of them, lack any kind of microphone. So, when the game was brought over to the good old US of A, the localizers had to replace that sound weakness with something else. And what they eventually decided on was arrows. Because of that, they swapped out "there are some creatures weak against sound" with the more applicable "secret power is said to be in the arrow." Now, I don't think this is a great hint, to be honest. I mean, it's so vague that I can't imagine it's of much use to anyone. Oh well, water under the bridge.
Mach jetzt den C&A Beststil der Stadt. Bikerjacke nur 39,90 €.
Ja, aber weißt du, was noch viel abgefahrener ist? Diese einzigartige Vintage-Kommode hat deine Mutter auf eBay Kleinanzeigen gefunden.
Wo gibt's das denn? Entdecke jetzt Vintage-Möbel und andere Schätze auf eBay Kleinanzeigen.
Right, next up is number 4. In Dungeon 7, we meet the old man who proclaims there's a secret in the tip of the nose. And what on earth does that mean? What nose? What tip? I think you're getting a little bit senile, old man. Alright, so this is, I believe, a little bit disputed, because if we look at the game's map, there's nothing here that looks much like a face, except our lovely Link boy over there. But it's the same within the dungeon. None of these rooms look particularly face-like, do they? But it turns out this whole dungeon is apparently the open mouth of a demon, so much so that the dungeon is actually called the Demon. I guess if we add some lines here and some teeth, it kind of looks like it. I have to say I'm not buying it. But if we do imagine that this dungeon is the gaping mouth of some kind of demon, then I guess the nose would be somewhere around here. And it turns out this room in the top right is where you need to go to fight the dungeon's boss. Still kind of weird though. I mean, this room is shown on the map, so the hint's kind of pointless. And it turns out there's a reason it's pointless. Because in the Japanese version of the game, this old man's hint is completely different. Spectacle Rock is an entrance to death. Yeah, that's like not at all the same thing. It's not even a hint for the same place. It's referring to what you do after you've left the dungeon once you're ready for the final one. You head to this set of rocks, which look kind of like a pair of spectacles or glasses, and that's how you get to Death Mountain. I mean, this hint is crucial. Why they got rid of it from this dungeon is really anyone's guess. But instead, we ended up getting a pretty useless hint directing us to a room which isn't even hidden on the map. But would the developers really cut such a crucial hint? No, actually, because number 3 is up next, and the hint we're talking about now is found inside Dungeon 8, the next one. Spectacle Rock is an entrance to death. Wait. Yeah, this one probably seems kind of familiar. It's our old friend from Dungeon 7. But hang on, did the Japanese version just have the same hint twice? Well, no. This guy originally said, look for the arrows in Death Mountain. And that is crucial to finishing the game. You need arrows to defeat the final boss, Ganon. But the English game doesn't even tell you that you need to be looking for them. I mean, I really can't imagine what the localizers were thinking here. Translator Clyde Mandolin theorized that maybe a bunch of the hints accidentally got shifted along by one. But how no one managed to spot this before the game shipped is anyone's guess. Right, number 2. This is getting exciting. This next one is a real obscure one, and it can be found within Dungeon 8 again. 10th enemy has the bomb. Sorry, what? What does that mean? I mean, if I was 9 and 10 and playing Zelda as a kid, heck, even now at 17, I wouldn't have a clue what that means. I mean, 10th enemy of what? The 10th enemy you've killed? Well, it turns out this is actually hinting at a really obscure game mechanic. Get this, if you kill 10 enemies in a row without getting hit, and then kill the last one using a bomb, they'll actually drop more bombs when they die. But hey, isn't that really obscure and kind of stupid? Yes it is. I mean, this hint was in the game itself, and still no one figured out this bizarre game mechanic for years. Oh, and funnily enough, this is yet another case of the English localizers pulling a hint out of nowhere. The original Japanese one read, search for the lion key. And what that's referring is to this key called the magical key, which looks kind of like the head of a lion. This thing is essentially a master key, allowing you to unlock any door from the game. Your key count even changes to read A, which is apparently short for Almighty. Don't quote me on that though. Now, why would the English translators replace that really useful tip with an oblique reference to an obscure mechanic? Your guess is as good as mine. Right, but now it's time for the final hint. Numero uno, baby. I regret that line. And we're talking about the absolute classic, the quintessential cryptic old man message from Zelda. Eastmost Peninsula is the secret. Now, this is from the very first dungeon you enter, so it's one of the first impressions that new players would have gotten of the old man. And to be fair, it's not wrong. Anyway, before we go any further, let's look at what the original Japanese text said. And, shockingly enough, it was completely different. You can't use arrows if you run out of money. Oh great, that's a really useful thing to know. Or at least, that's what I think. Clearly, that's not what the localization team thought, as they completely replaced it with the now iconic Eastmost Peninsula is the secret. Oh, and the fact that this line was written specifically for the English version makes the spelling and grammar problems even stranger. And you know I mentioned the updated translation for later releases of the game? Well, not even this one fixed the spelling error in Peninsula. But finally, for the Switch version of the game, Nintendo decided enough was enough, and they got rid of that pesky second N. Hooray! But hang on, where is the Eastmost Peninsula? What does that even mean? Well, again, there's no definitive answer, but we can get some clues by looking up what a peninsula even is. Because I'll be honest, I didn't know. I thought it was just an area of land, but it turns out it has a very specific definition. It's a piece of land that juts out into the sea, usually surrounded on three sides by water. And armed with that knowledge, let's take a look at some popular theories as to where this peninsula lies. Firstly, some people believe it's referring to this spot of the overworld, quite eastern, I guess, where you collect the White Sword, which is a more powerful version of the sword you start with. There's a few problems with that though. First off, while there is some kind of lake outside this cave, the water is surrounded by land and not the other way around. Plus, to pick up this sword, you need 5 heart containers unlocked, and when you finish Dungeon 1, the most you can have is 4. Okay, so if it's not here, then where is the peninsula? Well, some people theorise that perhaps we should be looking a little closer to home, inside the dungeon itself. Because if we zoom out and take a look at the layout, we can see that the dungeon's boss is right off to the east of the dungeon. And that would make sense. But again, we hit the peninsula problem. I really can't see a way in which this could be considered a peninsula. There's no water or anything like that, so I'm just not buying it. Luckily, there's one more spot it could be, back out in the overworld. If we look even more to the east, we can see this secluded group of trees, inside one of which Link can play money-making game. Now, this is actually another example of slightly wonky old man grammar, but putting that aside, this area seems a much more likely candidate. It's a lot more to the east, plus it's jutting out into a body of water. But what's the secret it's talking about? Well, the wall off to the side of this area is actually a false wall leading to a hidden area where Link can meet a secret moblin. It's a secret to everybody. Is this the Eastmost Peninsula? Maybe, maybe not. But it is certainly a peninsula, and it's certainly eastmost, and this is certainly a secret. Alright, and that's the lot of them. But wait, before you go, I've got 2 important things to say. Firstly, a lot of this video script was sourced from this amazing book by Clyde Mandelin, and the link to that is in the pinned comment. But even more importantly than that, this channel just hit 100,000 subscribers. I mean, that is crazy. I still, can't fully believe it. I just wanted to say thank you so much, guys, for sticking with me this long, and I hope you continue to enjoy my videos here on out. Subscribe if you're not subscribed for more videos like this. If you enjoyed it, you can follow me on Twitter at ThomasGDocs, and I shall see you next week. Bye!
Bei Hyundai treiben wir den Fortschritt für Sie voran. Deshalb haben wir ein Fahrzeug entwickelt, mit dem Sie sich jederzeit vernetzen können. Das Aufsehen erregt, wo auch immer Sie gerade sind, das Sie bestmöglich schützt und ein mitreißendes Fahrerlebnis bietet. Der neue Hyundai Kona Hybrid ist da. Jetzt mit 3.000 € Prämie beim Hyundai Hybrid Deal. Bereit für den nächsten ersten Schritt?
Das ist eine neue Art von Smartphone. Es ist mehr, als du auf dem ersten Blick siehst. Denn es ist bis zu 40% günstiger und 100% nachhaltiger. Das Einzige, was du nicht siehst, dass es vollständig erneuert ist. Refurbed. Wie neu, nur besser.
Turret plating will fall.
Hey, Lust was Cooles zu zocken? Ich auf jeden Fall. Ich war ewig nicht mehr draußen. Okay, spielen wir League of Legends. Kennst du das? Klar doch.
Can't see. I can't see. You can't even make this stuff up. We embark on a brand new journey here today. Whatever shall we find? Short but full, intense, deluxe. What?
Not a problem.
The heck does that mean?
Wow.
Freaking heck! Oh my god! I'm okay. Yeah. Why does he fall down? Don't fall down. No, dude. Better. Yeah. That is so freaking stressful. Whoa. Wait. Oh. No. Dude. This level's a butt clencher.
I know.
A heck of a way to warm up. Dude, that is unbelievable. You could take it slow. I don't know how much time there is. Can you believe that? Because I can't. That is legit corner jump. Wow. So here's what we're gonna try. One at a time. I hope the timer is not tight. Okay.
Step 2.
Holy crap. Ugh. What the heck is this?
Ich habe im Internet gelesen, dass Psoriasis auch die Gelenke betreffen kann.
Sure you can.
What are we gonna do today? Spirit science? But why?
Fine, I guess after so long and so much goddamn begging from people who all know who they are, I'm gonna do another spirit science. But if my head spontaneously combusts from the overwhelming stupid, I'm blaming you.
We know the 4 elements: earth, air, water, and fire.
I mean, like, there might be a couple more, but whatever, you're talking about the 4 woo elements of every fantasy game ever that for some reason has never been applied to melons. I mean, they started with watermelons, but no earth melons, no air melons, and no fire melons, aka the elemelons. Are you even trying science?
It's the geometry of a square. We have this prevalent system of 4 all over our world.
Kinda. If you look for patterns, you're gonna see them. It's kind of what human brains do. There's a couple of types. One's called pareidolia. It's the thing where you see faces in clouds or a dog in a cheesecake. The other is apophenia. That's the tendency we have to relate more than likely unconnected things to one another. What I'm saying is, stop saying the dumb.
We have 4 states of matter: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma.
Wrong. There's actually 5: solid, gas, liquid, plasma, and whiskey, the fundamental state that allows all the others to exist. Because without it, I'm burning this reality down. It's the only good thing you people have done.
We have 4 seasons. Winter is earth, spring is air, summer is water, and autumn is fire.
Autumn is fire? That doesn't sound right. I mean, surely summer would be fire, and spring, and winter, and then autumn can be double fire. In fact, double fire for everyone.
We have 4 directions.
Those are the cardinal directions, and we kind of made them up to aid with navigation. I mean, theoretically, there's only north and south. West and east are just kind of there to fill in the gaps. We could have added a bunch of extras and it wouldn't have made much difference, but we were boring and just had things like south, south, east. Lame. I mean, I think it should be spaghetti directy. And are north, south, east, and west, etc. linked to the elements? Because, well, I'm not going to say that doesn't make any sense, but that doesn't make any goddamn sense. And that's a completely different sentence, so no.
We have 4 ways of taking in energy: food, water, oxygen, and prana.
You know what? I'm not even mad. Because now I can just use summer, which is the element water, to put it out. Oh god, I forgot I made summer double fire. Right, what did you say?
We have 4 ways of taking in energy: food, water, oxygen, and prana.
Okay, since you start with food, I've got to assume that you mean that each of these is a source of energy, and the fact that you called them ways of taking in energy, when quite frankly you couldn't take in energy without most of these. So yeah, food is a source of energy, among other things. Oxygen is used in the respiration process to get energy into your muscles, but is not in itself an energy source. Water is used to do a lot of things, including aiding in digestion, but again, is not a source of energy. And prana doesn't reel. So 1 out of 4 ain't bad for you. With your track record of 100% wrong, good job, I guess.
We have 4 directions on the Native American.
Oh my god, that's so relevant to anything! As we always say here on the Sirsic channel, ancient methods of doing things are always much better than modern methods with all their evidence and the fact that they actually work. Nope, give me a bucket of leeches and a drill to my head any day of the week.
Also, we have the Mayan Hunab Ku, as well as the Dream Spell calendar. This system is all over the ancient past and symbolism hidden in different cultures.
It's almost like human beings are all kind of similar and do kind of similar things even when separated out. And also that culture spread and ideas spread with them. Almost.
Our reality can be divided in a number of ways that will yield alternative perspectives of what is happening all around us.
Well, there's actually 5. There's reality, the one that's actually the real and stuff, and then there's delusion, cray-crayism, Nightjobian, and Earth.
If you look at everything through the perspective of one, which is unity, you're looking at the full encompassment of everything. You're looking at the source field. There are no dualities. Everything is one.
Well, there's that famous spirit science word salad. I've always wanted to try and make one. Welcome to Cooking with Sir Sick, episode 1, making a delicious word salad. You gotta grab a bit of quantum, oh yeah, and some prana, maybe a little bit of entanglement, a dash of infinity. Delicious and meaningful. Set it to cook for now, and there you go.
If you look through 2, you see duality. You're looking at the male and the female of reality, the structured and the creative and inspiration.
The male and female of reality. I mean, of course, reality is gendered. That only makes sense, because otherwise it couldn't spend all of its time bending me over, lubing me up, and just absolutely brutally fuck.
If you look through 3, you see a trinity: mind, body, spirit. Male, female, child.
I'm going to ignore mind, body, spirit, because, like, only 2 of those things are real, and prove me wrong, I dare you. But that male, female, child thing is just, you know what that sounds like, right? I'm not going to be explicit because this is YouTube and I want to get paid, son. But I'm going to infer the hecking out of it and tell you to maybe word things a bit better.
Up, down, middle.
Up, down, middle? Didn't you say there were 4 directions?
We have 4 directions.
And come on, there isn't just a choice between up or down. There is effectively infinite points. In fact, that applies to a lot of your dichotomies and trichotomies? Is that a word? I don't care. It is now, and if it already was, it's mine and I'm keeping it.
Black, white, grey.
I would make a treasure joke about that, but you said it with such a lack of conviction, I just had to laugh. It's like either you know it's nonsense, or more likely, you are making things up off the top of your head.
Or even little things like 111 or 333 on your clock.
I mean, if that were meaningful in any way, why does it stop at 555? That's not fair. What about 777? Or 999? Or even 666? Weird. I did not expect the Slipknot reference.
If you look through 4, you see the 4 elements. They are the physical, mental.
I know someone's mental. That's not fair or politically correct. But it is true. And it is you. Stop it.
Emotional or spiritual. Or perhaps 1111 on your clock.
See, this is why I didn't want to do a spirit science again. It's exhausting. You are exhausting, mate. Everything is so meaningless, couched in this air of it must be important because the wizards that live in my head say it is. And they thought it was a good idea to make a video out of your inane ramblings and put it on the flipping internet.
We can continue.
No, please don't.
5 is the pentacle as well as the dodecahedron. 6 is the vector equilibrium, or cuboctahedron, which we'll talk about in a few minutes.
convention was an enormous hurdle for video games. It took years, arguably more than a decade, and as 3D was slowly nailed down, there were those beautifully ambitious attempts to bring it to smaller consoles. We've talked every GBA FPS and many 3D GBA games. We've seen how developers have pulled off some truly amazing achievements on extremely limited hardware. But now, it's time to go back even further and talk 3D Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. This is Punching Way, a celebration of the weird, ambitious, and unnecessary, and it's time to talk about truly some of the most technologically impressive games to ever grace a Nintendo handheld.
Yeah.
We begin
Hi there,
with the
Frostbite.
original Game Boy's sole first-person shooter, Faceball 2000. If you're not familiar with this game, Faceball 2000 is about as rudimentary
Yes, it
an
is kind of
FPS
interesting.
could possibly be. But look at this! It's
But
a
I have
3D
played
FPS
hers
on the Game Boy.
like this,
You and your enemies
well,
are essentially
probably
flowing
for,
emojis with Nerf guns. It's an
or
extremely
since she
slow-moving
was
game,
released.
barely one step above an interactive Windows 95
Oh
screen.
no.
Though it did predict the future of FPSs with regenerating health. The object of the single-player campaign is to find and touch the blinking wall in each maze-like level, of which there are 70. The later levels do pose...
She just plays more like a caster this way, or she basically plays like a caster that can also auto-attack, but you definitely no hard carry or anything.
aka multiplayer deathmatch.
You have to win early and mid-game. Late game, yeah, you can practically can't win a 1v1 against any other carry.
The best is loading it up with 8 bots, going to the arena with no walls, and then
Also,
watching
right
the
now
game
I'm not
try
dealing
and
a lot of
run
damage because the whole game was
Super Nintendo
pretty
port
rough.
of Faceball, which only lets you have 6 bots in multiplayer. Game Boy does what Super Nintendo don't. Faceball 2000 was developed by Xanth Software FX and released in 1991, meaning it came out relatively early in the Game Boy's lifespan, making it all the more impressive. It is actually a port of 1987's MIDI Maze for the Atari ST, which was notable for being one of the first PC games with a multiplayer deathmatch mode. But here's the kicker, and if you're already familiar with this game, then you know where I'm going. Faceball 2000 for the Game Boy apparently has 16-player link cable arena deathmatch, and that is not some wild rumor, it's right there on the damn box. But Nintendo only ever released a 4-player adapter for the game, meaning that Xanth Software or publisher Bulletproof Software would have needed to release their own proprietary game. Now, this never happened, probably due to cost or because it's a really dumb idea. But the question still lingers. Which side do I put this on? Oh, there we go. Has anyone ever linked together 16 Game Boys and 16 copies of Faceball 2000? And actually, we're not sure. In 2018, the fine folks at Retronauts...
No, piss off.
But both times it was a bust. However, we did find evidence of a bonkers multiplayer game of Faceball that went down in 2008. The lunatic/hero in question would be Uncle Bob from the Nintendo World Report forums. If you travel in these retro waters, you might have heard of Uncle Bob before. Some of his archival...
Oh, also you're... well... Damn it. Also, the enemy Jax doesn't really help in, well, doing anything as an ADC, because he just jumps me every single fight. He flashes and jumps me on me, and I'm done for every single time, well, he sees me. Well, okay, that was probably one of the first flashes that wasn't used for killing me.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. No. Yeah, Jax just solos us, the whole team.
Sure you can handle me, Summoner?
No, 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 no. Where is it? There it is. GA or Infinity Edge? Infinity Edge.
An enemy has been slain.
Yeah. My damage was okay, so shut up, Cyan. Yeah, she did a lot more, but holy crap, she had doubled my kills, so please, shut up. But that Jax, holy shit. He whooped our asses. Whoop. Oh god, yeah, he still didn't have Sonya's. That's tragic. Yeah, he's absolutely right, that Ziggs was bad, really bad. Oh no. Warwick almost got Evelyn now. Yeah, Evelyn was on my main account. Evelyn was my second highest character. I'm pretty sure about that. I think that was the case. Evelyn had oh god, I don't remember, but my first one was Illaoi, second one was Evelyn, and I think I'm not sure about the third one. There's a lot of top characters and jungle characters that I've played in the last months before my old account got fucked up.
Actually really helpful to us in our video on the Nintendo GBA e-reader. Anyway, Uncle Bob was able to daisy chain various generations of Game Boy systems together using GBA link cables and played a 9-player game. We haven't seen it running ourselves, so we can't really confirm it, but I don't have much reason to doubt Uncle Bob, who walked me through how they did it, so as far as I can tell, the 16-player does work. Still, it requires an incredible amount of hardware, so then what about emulation? Well, I haven't been able to find anyone successfully emulating more than 4 players. As you can see demonstrated here by Shonumi, who does some fantastic work on Edge of emulation. We're gonna put links to all this in the description, by the way. It is quite the rabbit hole. Faceball 2000 on the Game Boy is noteworthy for 2 reasons. 1, it exists. 2, it is theoretically possible to grab 15 friends and take friendship to once unfathomable heights. However, definitive proof of such a thing still has not yet been documented, and until such documentation materializes, I'm afraid this case remains open. So get out there, you lunatics, and invite me. I'll play Faceball with you. I got stuff. I'm a cool kid. I'm cool.
What? Coffee League much? The fuck is that? It's Micro Machines, but it looks like fucking, yeah, League of Legends.
The racing genre is often where ground is broken in graphics, and early 3D was no different. One of the first 3D polygonal games ever was Hard Drivin' for the arcades, and by some miracle, the sequel Race Drivin' found its way to the Game Boy in 1993. Look at those